A2.
Hashtag underrated hype. TVA2 Mr. Question Heart is at underrated hype TV. Hashtag verse TV A2C.
All right. Question love is. And actually the title is Question Heart Is. I love that song and I have loved that song for over a decade at this point. And Mista's big hit was the song Blackberry Molasses. Blackberry Molasses. One of the things that never change. Things that never. Anyway, before I don't have I don't have time. But that was their big hit, and I remember that was hitting at the time that I moved. The family moved from upstate New York to New Orleans, Louisiana, Middletown, New York, New Orleans, Louisiana, and i.e. 96. And granted, the song Blackberry Molasses was out before I even knew the song Question Heart Is, but I did fall in love with that song a number of years later. Like I was grown at that point, but I think I got their album from a CD store. I know, old, right? I'm 40, but in listening to that album, I fell in love with that particular song. And I remember my line brother, when Bobby Valentino went solo, because of course Bobby Valentino is in the group Mista. I remember my line brother was like, because Bobby Valentino had to prove himself, y'all. A lot of people, they weren't always what they became. And Bobby Valentino was no exception. And he had to grow to the exceptionalist that he is today. But I remember my line brother was like, who is this Bobby Valentino? I mean, coming from they make a big deal that he's from Mista, but it's like he wasn't even the lead singer. He wasn't even the second. This don't you do that. Don't you dare. He wasn't even the second lead singer of Mista. And I was like, but I love his album though. He has a lot of songs on Disturbing the Peace presents Bobby Valentino that I love, particularly the lead single, Slow Down. I didn't I didn't love it for the reason that the hetero boys loved it, but it was a song that I loved. On that album, I also love his song I'll Forgive You. And yeah, I love slow down. I just want to get to know. Anyway, I love it. And the song I'll Forgive You. Anyway, I love it. And I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the group Mista remind that was just between us. Anyway, for whatever reason, and actually that wink was it doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't. But I will say, for whatever reason, the group Mista, I I I think it has something to do with the time that I came across those songs. That said, that's when I got that album from the CD store. Anyway, because like I said, I discovered it college in my adulthood. And it reminds me of this dude that I met who at the time he was living in the rough part of DC off of Minnesota Avenue Southeast. And for those of you who know DC, you know what I'm talking about. And I remember I went to visit him one time. It was later at night, but not because it was a spread your legs or open wide hookup, but it was a after school, after classes and classwork and everything, I'll come over to see you. And I went over to see him. It was later at night, and he was living in what was, again, the rough side of DC. Again, and DC today, night and day. But it was like a project apartment. And I remember one thing that surprised me a lot about that apartment. When I went to visit him, he, it was after dark. Remember the group Before Dark? Anyway, so many tangents, but I think I have enough minutes. But it was after dark, and nevertheless, everybody in his apartment complex was still just out and chatting, out in front of their apartment door, just chit chat. And I was like, I have never seen this. I don't know. And I pulled up in my car and I called him from my car and I was like, I don't know if I have your right address because I just see a lot of people out just talking and having a good time in front of their apartment. And I don't know what's going on. And he's like, no, that is my house. Come on over. Come on over. And I remember being afraid, but I did. And he was like, you look so afraid coming up here. Just come on in.